Welcome, everybody, to another very special edition of the Purple Knights podcast. This time around, I'm joined by a very special guest and a relatively new friend of mine, but I'd say we've grown pretty close over the past couple months or weeks or however long it's been.
I I think I feel like we've known each other for years, Chris. That's what happens when you're in the purple fam.
Yes,
You
exactly. I
find
would
lots of fast friends.
yes, I would echo those thoughts
Yeah.
precisely. We have Purple Kurt from the Purple Kurt podcast on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining us, Kurt.
Chris, it's how long have we been trying to get this going? We've been
It's
talking about this for a minute.
it's been a while. We've been trying to get multiple guests to join us, but it hasn't worked out. So we decided, okay, enough's enough.
We'll
We're
forge
just
ahead
gonna
on our
go.
own.
We're just gonna go with the two of us
Yep.
and hammer out this thing. So, welcome to America, the deluxe edition. We'll be going through the album track by track, and then after that's completed, then we'll go through. We'll talk a little bit about the presentation of the deluxe package, and then
Oh,
also we'll give you guys a little bit of input on the live Blu-ray, which of course is a concert from the LA Forum on April 28th, 2011 on Blu-ray. And it's an awesome concert,
oh, it's great.
but we don't want to give away too much because we want y'all to buy the set and experience it for yourself. So,
Absolutely.
um, okay, let's do this in a gentlemanly way.
Yes.
Kurt, I'll hand it over to you for track number one, the
Uh,
title track, Welcome to America.
it's so Chris, first of all, thanks for having me on. I'm so glad we're joining forces on this, and I never need an excuse to talk about Prince and any of the music that comes out. This track, when it first came out, I'll echo what I've heard a lot of other people say. The album as a whole, if you listen to these tracks isolated, you're like, oh, okay, this is cool. When you listen to this particular opening track and then listen to the rest of the album, it's a song cycle. And this introduction, this prelude to the themes that would be presented throughout the entire album, save for When She Comes and check the record. You've got, if you're doing a Prince record, you've got to have a little bit of bravado and a little bit of, I'm all that. But with this whole album, it really, I mean, like a lot of people said, it feels like it was recorded yesterday, or feel like it was recorded last year with all the unrest that happened in Minneapolis, George Floyd, political division, the way that mass media, social media has taken control of our lives and have retooled how we listen to music and all that. You could have sworn that this title track was recorded last year. And it just sets off this little slinky bass line. It's lugubrious bass line played by the phenomenal young Tal Wickenfeld. It's great. And having Elisa Fiorillo, Shelby J, and Liv Warfield with the impeccable triple harmony, the trio of vocals that they put on it. I can't say enough about it. It sounds like it was recorded yesterday.
Right. We also want to give a shout out as well to the drummer Chris Coleman.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
So there's Prince, Tall, and Chris Coleman are the power trio
Yeah.
extraordinaire all throughout this album. So we want to give a shout out to all those three musicians,
Absolutely.
especially. And then as you said, the backup singers as well, Elisa, Liv and Shelby J. And I'm a little biased when it comes to Shelby J because I've met her in person on two different occasions.
Yes, you have. And she's another fellow Johnson as well.
Yes, exactly. And she was very, very loving and just a very open, warm, inviting soul. So I'm biased. I'm positively biased where Shelby J is concerned.
Yeah,
So
and quite frankly, Chris, I don't understand all the hate. Why certain people are trolling on social media. There's too much of Shelby J. I've seen memes made. Shelby J with Prince.
yes,
live in concert. It's
yes,
nobody said this stuff when he had Wendy and Lisa on backing tracks, or Jill Jones, or on 3121. Help me out.
um,
Oh Lord, on Beautiful, Loved and Blessed, Milk and Honey. Her solo album
Tamar
was going to be,
Davis.
yes, Tamar.
Yes,
Nobody said a word while he was alive, when he had all these female either proteges or female background singers or both. So I don't understand why this is any different. He's had a history of women. Sheena Easton guesting on a background vocal. Nobody ever. Sheila, for God's sake.
yeah.
Nobody
I don't
ever.
I don't understand the hate either. It's kind of part of the entropy of society, kind of tying into the themes of the title track on the album.
Right.
You know, people's morality and their
Yeah.
superficiality really comes out to the fore when they start, bashing these
Right.
backup singers, and
Right.
it's really unfortunate. But all I've got to say to that is, welcome to America.
Well done.
There you
Well
go.
done. Well done, sir. Yes.
There you go. So, yeah, this track, and I agree, it's definitely a concept album. Um, definitely meant to be listened to as an album, as a cohesive,
Yeah.
coherent whole, rather than to be heard piecemeal, track by track, which we're breaking down the album track by track. So that's
Yes, we are.
kind of a counter to the message of the album. But we can only do what we can do, right? So
You got it.
um, yeah, but this song and this entire album is very topical. Dealing with social issues as far as the elite class oppressing the people beneath them, or the
Yep.
people below them on the social ladder, and the manipulation of mass media and social media plays into that as well. Very superficial goings on, superficial attitudes, popularity contests, rather than valuing substance. And you know I mean, that's what the track speaks to, basically the
Yeah.
state of the world, or the more accurately, the state of the country.
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
agree in that respect. It's very, very relevant to today. But, and I've heard it said to the point where it's almost cliche now, but Prince really was ahead of his time.
Oh,
He was
no,
way
no
ahead of the
question.
curve. He was way ahead of the curve, not only spiritually, but in terms of speaking about social matters and the state of the country, the state of the world. He was way ahead of all of us. And I think we're realizing that now with an
Absolutely.
album that
Yes.
was recorded 11 years ago, and it seems so relevant right now. So Prince was way ahead of the game in that respect.
Chris, to your point, uh, the wonderful Andrea Swenson and the Prince Estate putting together all these, the official Prince podcast, and the most recent episode that aired about Welcome to America, the album, and the episode 3, which just came out about the internet is dead. And there's actual audio footage where you hear Prince talking about hits on YouTube or downloads on YouTube and all this stuff. And YouTube was still, it wasn't in its infancy, but it wasn't the dominating factor that it is now.
Right.
And you hear him talking about this, and if you had just put another, if he were still alive, and the date on that audio clip of him talking was dated on July 2021, it's just as relevant. He sounds like he's talking about today. Like you said, the guy was ahead of his time. He knew exactly what was going to happen once iTunes and all these other places came down and said, look, this is the way you got to promote your music, Prince. Knows if, ands, or buts, but they get to choose the price on how much they're going to pay the artist. He already saw the road ahead. Now you look at artists now, nobody's making money the way they used to. Artists like Stevie Nicks, a very dear friend of Prince's, sold her catalog to Primary Wave, who now owns half of Prince's estate.
Yeah.
Catalog, so he saw that road ahead. He knew that stuff like that was going to happen.
Yeah, and speaking of the duplicity of the record industry and the music
Yeah.
industry as a whole, that's a good segue into track number 2, Running Game, Son of a Slave
Yes.
Master, which is basically Prince's commentary through the vessel of Shelby J, which we love.
Absolutely.
I personally love Shelby on this track.
I love the track.
Her flow is amazing, and
Yep.
it's not exactly a rap song, but it's quasi rap or proto rap, I would say. But her flow is just perfect on this song, and from what I understand, on the official podcast, Prince told her, maybe this is about the rap in Same Page, Different Book,
Yeah.
but I could be mixing the two up. But Prince told her, okay, you're going to be rapping, so go outside in the hallway and write your rap and come in and lay it down.
But to flow like water, and that is the other track. But it doesn't matter. I think the whole flow of this track, it flows like water too. It's very. This is not an album this is not 1999. This isn't. This is not deliberately intended to be radio hit after radio hit after radio hit.
Right.
And
right.
This is an album. When he this comes post musicology, where he talks about in that title track, don't you miss the feeling music gave you back in the day? This album is, and these first 2 tracks are definitely that back in the day, particularly when we get to later tracks, the homages to Curtis Mayfield and all the 70s soul.
Yep.
This second track reminds me a lot of War, the group War, The World is a Ghetto. And the first track is kind of like his version of George Clinton's Parliament's Funkadelics Chocolate City. So there's a blueprint throughout these, first couple tracks, cluing us into what vibe he's going for.
Yep.
It's very clear if you've listened to his music back in the 70s, he starts in 78 all the way through. You see that this is not just a throwback, but he's trying to, the vibe of it. But the topics are of today.
Right.
So it's weird. Chris, you've got all the throwback elements of the music that he grew up and he loved and he worshiped and he integrated into his own music, and he brings it right into 2010 and talks about the topics of today. And the funny thing is that it just works. He makes his own mixture of yesterday and today and just makes it work in the now. It's incredible.
Right. It's incredible stuff. And yeah, the vibe is really a really funky, princely throwback to that 1970s soul Superfly um, vibe. So yeah, these first two tracks are quite an amazing way to start out an album, and quite a statement, as I say, on the state of the country,
Yeah,
and the second
absolutely.
track, the state of the music industry. So
Oh, just as relevant today. You know,
yeah,
when he would talk about free TLC, you know, during the slave era where he was putting slave on mascara on his face.
yep,
This is what he was talking about right
yep,
here, right in
yep,
this track.
yep,
And the fact that he mentions specifically, like in the first track, he mentions iPad, he mentions Google. He's never mentioned these corporations' names, you know, Diacom, which sounds like Viacom, but
right,
it's in the printed lyrics as I'm looking as Diacom. NASCAR is mentioned in this current track we're talking about. So he mentions a lot of product stuff. You know, maybe he didn't release it because he was afraid that the product placement, they might say, hey, you know, you don't have clearance to use our names.
right,
You know, who knows? Only he knows. He's not with us anymore. But that's the first time I can think of in an album where he specifically mentions a product and a product name. I mean, I'm sure somebody out there is going to go, oh, no, actually, you know.
right. Definitely. Well,
I don't remember. Do you? I don't remember a time where he's mentioned a product specifically like that.
the only the only thing I can remember that's even close to that,
I mean,
which I don't know if
Corvette,
it I don't know if it
Little
was an
Red
actual
Corvette.
product, but it might have just been something that he made up. But inventors of the AccuJack.
Oh, yeah. No, actually, I think that was real.
Oh, really?
I don't know firsthand, pardon the pun, but but no, I think that might, well, he might have come up with that, but you know, he does mention Little Red Corvette. Corvette is, you know, a product made by Chevy.
Right,
So I mean, but he doesn't attack the corporate
right,
element in that.
right,
You know, this is where he's attacking negative placement. He's dissing product placement,
right.
and that's a huge difference. I guess. I guess is the point I'm making.
And then we have a track that I'm I have a specific attachment to this track, and it's very selfish and very egotistical. That is to say that this song was recorded on my 30th birthday,
Oh, cool.
on my 31st birthday. No, my 30th, because it was March 12th, 2010.
Okay,
So it was my 30th birthday, and that
cool.
is the Curtis Mayfield um,
Ooh.
Cornell West inspired track, Born to
Yay.
Die.
Oh, it's a Prince classic. I'll tell you that right now. It I think this album's a Prince classic. I'm just going to go out there and say that right now. I love this album, and this is one of the highlights. It's so good.
I
um,
agree. The layered harmonies in the
uh,
vocals, in the background vocals, and
Which it comes. Oh,
Prince's
yes.
pristine falsetto on
Never lost
display.
it. Never lost it.
No, no, it's as strong as ever on this track.
Yes.
And again, a very socially aware, very, very socially relevant track about a woman who is
Yep.
forced to become a drug dealer on the streets of Oakland, right?
Yep.
Um,
And sex
just
trafficking too.
yes,
You know,
sex
that
trafficking as well,
yep.
which is still a very rampant problem today. And
Awful.
again, we're talking about an album. I keep having to remind myself that we're talking about an album that's 11 years old, and he's still, the issues he's addressing are still relevant today. And one, it says a lot about Prince,
Yeah.
and two, it's a sad commentary on society where these issues still remain so present and so seemingly unresolved. But we'll get to that a little bit later when
Sure.
we talk about a thousand light years from here on
Oh,
how to resolve those issues. But I mean,
yeah.
this album, these songs are like, they're hard hitting and they're in your face, about modern issues.
But they don't
And
scream at you. But they don't scream.
yes,
It's a resigned. Here we go again.
yeah, but
This
I
is
mean,
just
they're hard hitting in
it's
the sense that
they.
they're
Yeah.
they're they're captivating. They're
Oh, absolutely.
immensely captivating, and they hit you right in the soul. You're like, wow, this is really, really deep, relevant, thought provoking stuff. And I can't think of an album where, as a whole, where it's so, um, thought provoking in terms of commentary on society and commentary on the world. There's there was a time, particularly in the 80s, where Prince would pepper his albums with, political songs or,
America.
commentary on
Sure.
social issues.
Yeah.
But as far as an entire album, an entire body of work
Hmm.
taking on issues like
Oh
this,
yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to America is unparalleled in that
Yes. Correct.
respect.
To
So
me, yep. Yeah.
it's just amazing to me.
Chris, I think if you take a look at the blue, like we talk about the blueprint of the 70s soul, socially conscious albums that Prince was raised on. Wars, The World is a Ghetto. Marvin Gaye's What's Going On.
Yep,
And this album
yep.
very much reminds me of both those albums, and particularly the Marvin Gaye album. I would say you could put this album on a playlist with the War album, What's Going On, Stevie's Songs in the Key of Life, and this would fit right in and be worthy of all of those other classic albums
I agree.
that blend
I,
both the
I
social and Curtis Mayfield's, Superfly soundtrack. It's all of that,
I
and
totally agree.
absolutely, and
Totally
but
agree.
but in Prince's filter, in Prince's unique way,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
It's uniquely Prince
like
for
the
sure.
backwards vocals that he does, which I haven't heard him do backwards spoken stuff that I haven't heard him do since Purple Rain
Right.
on the title track. Things like that. You still have his little tricks up his sleeve, stuff he's done throughout his history, recorded history. But
Oh yeah.
oh,
Yeah. And the coincidentally talking about corporations and name checking, corporate giants.
yeah,
The backwards lyrics on Welcome to America are clearly a dig at Clear Channel,
oh yeah,
which back then it was Clear Channel. Now they're known as iHeartRadio.
yep,
But they were basically, taking local radio stations and scooping them up
yeah,
and integrating them into this big,
yeah,
faceless corporate conglomerate
yep,
and structure.
yep.
And so that's Prince's commentary on them as well. So
And we can get into the deluxe box set. The you know what I'm talking about when you open it up and he addresses the text that's in there
right,
before you open the LPs. We can
right,
address that later. Yeah.
right, right,
So much to dig into, man.
right. Good stuff. But
Yeah. Oh, great
Born
stuff.
to
Yes.
Die. I mean, and it's so weird that this was recorded literally on my birthday. With
I'll
the
take it.
title
I will take it.
like Born to Die. Um, so it sort of makes me think of my own mortality in a way, but that's for another
From the
episode
cradle to the grave,
entirely.
Chris. It's another way of saying from the cradle to the grave, born to die. Yep.
Exactly.
It's his way of saying
Exactly.
from the cradle to the grave.
And
And it's
then
yep.
we've got, yes, my favorite track,
Uh-huh.
personally, my favorite track on the
Yes.
whole entire album.
It's a highlight.
Um, and we had a sort of reprise of this, and I could call it a
Yes.
reprise
Right.
in
Yes, you can.
retrospect because this chronologically comes before the version that we got incorporated, interpolated into Black Muse
Off. Yep.
on Hit and Run Phase 2. And I like that version as well. It was
Yes, I do. Yeah.
incorporated into the last half of
Hmm.
Black Muse
Yep.
on Hit and Run Phase 2. But here it's its own song. Of course, we're talking about 1,000 light years from here.
Oh.
And Kurt,
You
what are your thoughts on that?
okay. Thank you. I was just gonna say, if I might read the lyrics. I mean, the first verse. We can live underwater. It ain't hard when you've never been a part of the country on dry land. We used to be smarter. We taught them what they know, and now got to show what it means to be American. I mean, that first line, how Black America, people of color, have never been part of the country on dry land. They've had to live underwater, underground, under the radar, and right away talk about hard hitting, like we were talking about, like you were talking about previously.
Right,
He hits it right out of the gate
right.
with such an infectious song. I'm shocked that this never came out in some form. That
I
this
know, me
other
too.
than
And
the reprise.
the hit and run, the hit and run Phase 2 version is a completely different vibe,
Right.
um, completely different lyrics. But if you
It,
listen to
they
it, it's almost as if it could be an extra verse
sure.
tacked onto this version, or quite literally a reprise,
Yeah.
because he's talking about, he says in that version, he said, "Will it be on land or near the water?"
Yeah,
So
you
he's
know what?
he's
You're right.
calling
Yep.
back to this version. So it's like its own little Easter egg, that version of the song. And that's what I find so
An Easter egg.
awesome and so brilliant
Sure.
about it.
Yeah.
But this version of the song is just, I was absolutely blown away when I heard this song and these lyrics, especially the verse where he says, "Why would God make heaven so far away with the whole world of his children crying to him every day?" And that's something that I think about on the regular because I'm a very spiritual, very
Yes, you are.
metaphysical type minded person.
Yes,
And
you
so
are.
I think about spirituality a lot, especially in these times.
Mm.
And it just resonated with me so much that I was nearly moved to tears when I heard that, because it's like Prince, although, and I've talked about this before in previous podcasts, he was very much a secular artist, but I don't know many other secular artists who have such spirituality and such faith running through their music as
Yep.
completely and as profoundly as Prince did. It's remarkable, and it's part of the reason why um, all of us as fans, even though there are quite a few atheist Prince fans, believe it or not, but all of us as fans can sort of resonate on a spiritual level,
Sure.
and that's because Prince was such a spiritually attuned um, artist and human being. And it's just remarkable to me and so moving and so soul stirring to hear, professions of faith like that verse in this song, "A Thousand Light Years from Here." Just so moving. Um, I really don't know what else to say.
Yeah,
Words
yeah.
can't adequately describe the feeling I get when I hear this song, and it's just, you know, to me, it's looking toward a future, um, not necessarily utopia because I don't think that's realistically achievable. Sad to say, I don't think world peace will
Not here.
ever be
Yeah,
realistically achievable because
yeah.
humanity is, we're, to get a little preachy, we're predisposed to sin. So
Mm.
there's never going to be a perfect world, but
No,
it's aspiring to the idea that we can get there, or at least very, very close. Um,
it's Uptown reimagined a couple decades later.
yes, yes, or
1,000 Uptown is 1,000 light years away from here too, because when he talked about Uptown, and you think about what happened with George Floyd in Minneapolis and all the other George Floyd figures in Minneapolis, Philando Castile, all these folks who've been harassed by the police. Prince still has that utopia, like you say, utopia vision of what he'd ultimately like to see. Um,
right, and also my mind goes to a song like Paisley Park.
oh,
Paisley
sure,
Park, Paisley Park is an actual physical place. It's a you know
manifested.
it's a
Yep,
complex, yeah, but it's manifested. It's the ideal. It's the ideal state of being
yep.
manifested into a physical building, but it's the idea of a place that's both within and without yourself.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that really speaks to the message he gives also in this song as well. It's within us and it's outside of us as well at the same time. As a matter of fact, at the end of the song, during his ad libs, which are very,
Hmm.
very passionate, he says, "Stop looking outside yourself. Um, you can live forever." Uh, how does the lyric go?
I'm looking at the lyrics right now. I know where you're talking about, but not if you're sick of crying and tired of tears, and close your eyes and open your ears, listen to the music, listen to the song, listen to your heart. Is that so wrong? Stop looking in the mirror. It's nothing to fear. Your salvation is near, 1,000 light years away from here. And he does some ad libs in there. I don't think they're necessarily transcribed, but yeah, he
Yeah,
he
stop looking outside yourself. Um, I don't know. I'll have to look it up and post it
yeah.
in the description on
Okay,
Blog Talk Radio and YouTube. But
sure.
I love the lyric. Oh, that's what he says. He says you can live forever without even trying. That's what he says.
Yeah.
So it's that ideal, that vision of the ideal future. Where everybody, um, you know, he says the day that we stop counting. And Chelsea Rogers, he says the day that we stop counting, we'll live as long as a tree. You know, and it's the
Yeah,
same.
the whole idea when he embraced the Jehovah's Witness faith, and that he talked about time as a trick. I don't celebrate birthdays anymore. That's why I look 10 years younger, and things like that. The idea of the concept of the man-made concept of time has always been a running narrative since he had been introduced to Jehovah's Witness faith,
Right.
and that's very relevant in this track as well. And his faith was very relevant in this album. I wanted to point one thing out that made me think about recent events within the last 5 years under the previous presidential administration and border control.
Yes.
There's that line, and now having had the last 5 years happen and having this album released, I'm informed in a different way when I listen to this album than I probably would have been had it actually been released in its time.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly.
but there's that line that says, "You may have been dreaming about a new world order, but it's just a nightmare if we still got borders.
Right.
Wouldn't you rather have me near?" Now I know that there's an obvious interpretation that he probably meant in another way, but I think about all the different immigrant reform and immigrant, that kind of thing.
Right.
It creeps into my thinking. Other
Right.
than the spiritual aspect of this track, and
Right.
it's a great hook. What a great
Oh
hook!
my God.
Obviously, he
Musically,
thought he used it twice. He borrowed it and put it into Black Muse, and these are companion pieces. I did listen to Black Muse before coming on with you again, and Black Muse is a superb track as well. But this
yes.
also what a hook.
Yeah. And just as you were saying that, I thought Black Muse in and of itself would fit really well on this album
Oh,
also because it's a very
who knows if it
socially
came around? Yeah.
conscious, socially conscious
Yep.
soul track, throwback to the 70s sound.
Yep.
So, yeah.
A lot of the tracks on the Hit and Run Phase 2 are like that. Big
Yep.
City,
Yep.
Stare.
Yep.
I mean, you know,
Yep.
a lot of the tracks on that. I love Hit and Run Phase 2. Hit and Run again, like this album, it's a much more mature, maybe subdued in certain ways, but it's a mature Prince. He's just it's I don't think it's boring. I see people say, "Oh, it's just another boring album." They're not listening to it.
Right.
Not
Right.
really listening to it. We're not
Right.
just because we're not blind to the fact that, listen, I was ready for this album to be anything but great. I think Prince fans can be very, very critical. I can be in that category myself. This one, this one, yeah, for me, it's not since Love Sexy have I had an album which just had one narrative thread and it carried all the way through the album to the very end. And
Yep.
this is that album.
Yep.
Rainbow Children, I'd say as well.
Yep.
He had one narrative theme. He carried it through the whole thing to the very end.
Yep. And then we get to a track, the fifth track, which is very divisive, very polemic. Um, Fans either love it or they absolutely hate it.
And guess
Um,
what, Chris? I'm going to say it again. They're not listening to the track. It's all fun and games, right? Hot summer, all fun. It's on
right.
the outside, right? On the
Right.
on the periphery. But you look at those lyrics. Anybody, and here, after we get through the whoop, 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 the little Beach Boys kind of homage, and we go from because there's a Beach Boys feel to it with that organ. People could say, I've heard people say shake. It reminds them of shake a little bit. I'm like, yeah,
Right.
okay, just because of the keyboard association. I can hear that too. But look at the words. Anybody close enough to hear knows what we've been listening to all year. Okay, sounds innocent enough, right? These are the days my people told me to fear. But as long as I got your ear, I think it's going to be a hot summer. Just wait and see. It's not a happy-go-lucky track. It sounds like a happy-go-lucky. It's not a happy.
Right.
It's not. Not at
And
all.
and I saw online um, on Prince.org.
Yeah,
Actually, I still visit that site quite often,
I haven't been in years.
even though it's got a terrible reputation these days, and has
Trollfest,
had
yes.
for about a decade.
Yeah.
It is very toxic in some degrees, but I still visit there because it's the biggest centralized hub of Prince discussion, and all other websites and places like Facebook and Twitter, the information and the discussion is very piecemeal and very fragmented.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
I like to go to the org for the sort of centralized um, version of the Prince discussion. But
Hmm.
somebody on the org said it's a coded message about riots, hot summer, you know, society on fire, you know, basically is what they were saying, what they were hinting at, and I could definitely see that connection, like you say, a not so innocent uh, subject matter. Um,
Yep.
and what was the place that had the big riots in the '60s? The
Watts, L.A.
Watts, L.A. Yes.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Everywhere really, but that was the biggest demonstration of it. Yeah.
yeah, and that's what I'm getting from the uh, the song when I listen to it. Below the surface, which not a lot of people are doing. They think it's a throwaway, cutesy little throwaway
But if you,
pop
yeah,
song.
right. But if you and I and others who are and whoever posted it on Prince.org, good for them, bravo, because anybody close enough to hear, he's talking to the fans. He's talking
Right.
to the hardcore fans who have been following him. Whether they picked up him later on, whoever got aboard the purple train and never left the station, you know,
Right.
got
Right.
didn't get this song. For those who got
Uh,
on the purple train and never got off the train and followed him through his career, got got this.
right.
It,
Right.
it's not just a cutesy song. So I love it for that. I love it. It's got the little bubbly beep 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 beep. Almost like Shake, but and a little Beach Boys homage and beach movies, and the gals and stuff like that. Say, oh, this song was fun. He was playing it. They were driving around to Minneapolis Beach and all that. And okay, cool, I get it. Maybe we're reading into it too much. I don't think so because as I
no.
look at the lyrics, I don't, you know. Anyhow, anyway, sorry if I.
Prince was a master at double and even triple meanings. So,
Oh, sure,
um,
absolutely, absolutely.
which, as I say it, it's getting dark in the room that I'm in right now. So, visually on YouTube, if you guys are watching on YouTube and not listening on iTunes or Blog Talk Radio, um, I'm disappearing into the darkness. But maybe that's somewhat appropriate given this this album and the way it talks about society.
Sure.
But yeah, but hopefully you'll still be able to see me as this episode goes on. But
No, I can still see it.
I apologize for not having the foresight to properly illuminate myself. But so yeah, hot summer, not just your surface pop song, not just an homage
No.
to Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello
Right.
for people
Beach
of a certain
blanket
age.
bingo.
Yes,
Beach blanket bingo. Come on, Chris.
which again, it's a great song.
Hmm.
Even on the surface area, it's a great song. Very catchy,
Right.
very easy to sing along to, especially the chorus. And
Hey, look. Think of the police.
Liv Warfield with that.
Right.
Oh, hot summer. It's so good.
Love it. Love it.
Yes.
I think of like when people talk about misunderstood songs, right? The police is every breath you take, right? Played at a lot of weddings in the 80s, 90s, and even today.
Yep.
And it's a
Yep.
song about control.
Yeah. It's a song about.
I mean,
It's a
people
song
just like
about obsessive control.
every breath you take, every move you make, I'll be watching you.
Right.
Okay. Oh, it's going to be a hot summer.
Right.
Okay. There you go.
Right, 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 exactly.
Love it. I love songs like that because there's a perverseness to it.
Right, right, right.
If
There
you're not
is.
listening.
There is,
Oh
exactly.
man.
Um, then we've got um a great cover, which
Yeah.
a lot of people tend to really like this song and count it among their favorites. It's definitely different than the original Soul Asylum version, but it's Prince's version of Stand Up and Be Strong.
And again, Chris, he flips the script on the song too, because the way that David Perner and Soul Asylum did it was very standoffish, very punk, very whatever. Stand up and be strong, whatever. It was very sarcastic. And he took the sarcasm of the song, flipped it on its rear end, and made it into a soulful gospel ballad.
Right, right.
Again,
Exactly.
genius.
Yes.
And if you haven't been around on the Purple Train long enough to know, he, the one thing I want to say, Chris, is that, and I know you being an astute listener, the audio of this was a little bit damaged because of the CDR that they extracted this album off of, right? Am I wrong in
Right.
that?
Yes. Yes.
I guess they couldn't clean it up or do whatever, or maybe they didn't want to retouch it too much to meddle with the recording
Right.
too much.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
I'm sure it happens elsewhere in the album. They've cleverly disguised it somehow, but this track you can hear a little bit of sound like CD skipping.
Yes. Yes. Which is unfortunate, but
No,
um,
hey,
just due to how
minor quibble.
things were stored in the vault, and a lot of people are blowing that
Yep.
out of proportion as well. They're
Oh,
saying
of course.
that it makes the entire album unlistenable, and how dare the estate have the audacity to release a quote unquote inferior product. But you know, I don't believe in the negativity. I
No,
don't let it get to me. So,
no.
like you say, it's just a minor quibble.
Yep.
It's an unfortunate thing, but it is what it is, and
Yep.
I'm grateful that the estate gave us the album
Oh,
in spite
absolutely.
of the faults. Um,
Listen, he has a lot of albums that the mixes weren't great on to begin with. And this
right.
album in general is mixed wonder. I mean, the sound that Jason Agel, the engineer, and that Morris Hayes gets on the sound. There's a very lush sound. Okay. You
Yes,
know,
I was gonna say
I,
shout out to Jason Agel. He
yep.
was also on the official Prince
Yes.
podcast,
Great to hear his
telling
voice.
stories about Prince picking him up in this wild car, with this funk music
Love that.
blasting out of the radio, and
With his mirror pants on. And oh, I love that story. Dude, I love it. Like
yes,
if you could, if what was this thing? If a Hollywood script were written about how you met and worked with Prince, that's pretty much how it worked out for him.
yes, exactly, exactly, yes.
Yeah, I love it.
Great, great story, and I want to circle back to the last episode as well of the podcast, episode 3. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Anil Dash, who was
Oh
on
yeah, right.
the last episode. I follow him on Twitter and read a lot of his stuff about Prince and about technology, and it was great to finally hear him speak as well.
Yes,
So
yes,
put a voice
yeah,
to the name. So
yes.
shout out to Anil. Um, it was really cool to
Hey,
hear him
Neil.
talk as well.
Yes, it was very cool. He had a lot of good things to add to that podcast episode. I re-listened to that as well today. So, yep.
So, and then we have Check the Record, which is the most obvious choice for a chart topping, single, radio friendly hit, as they say.
Yeah.
Just a great song. My only quibble with it was that Prince wasn't able to record a proper guitar solo, so we've got him vocally noodling the guitar solo instead, which is kind of cool in a quirky, sort of way. But I would
I'm
have
surprised
preferred
he didn't use the. Yeah. Yeah.
I
I'm
would have
surprised about
preferred a
that.
proper guitar solo on this. But yeah, um, it's it's Prince being bold and brash,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, talking about.
I'm surprised he didn't use his Camille voice like I'm doing right now
There you
when he
go.
sings it.
Yes, exactly.
Let's check the record, see what it says.
Right. I'm surprised he didn't do something like that.
Oh
Honestly,
wow.
because it sounds like when he sings, it's on the verge of that timbre that he uses.
Yes.
Because he's bragging about, you know, getting the girl.
Yes, exactly.
I like the little nod to Sheryl Crow in this. Where is it here? If it makes her happy, can it be that bad? Like Cheryl said, it might be the most favorite mistake I've ever had.
Right.
Which
Right.
that song, my favorite mistake, is about when she was dating Eric Clapton,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Very interesting.
which makes me want to, which makes me wonder, was he dating somebody at that time that was well known? Maybe he was hinting, okay, because Prince was a player,
Oh yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Wait, let's get the oh yeah. Here you go. I have a voice
There we
changer,
go.
so
Yeah.
uh, you know,
Yeah, I really like this song.
yeah.
Guitar, um, like I say, somewhat lacking, but I would have really loved a solo on this.
Oh, it rocks out though. You could
It
have heard
does.
this on. You could have heard this in the '90s. You could have
Yes.
easily heard a song like this in that, like Chaos and Disorder. This would
Yes.
have fit really well in Chaos and Disorder.
Yes. Or somebody, again, on Prince.org, somebody
Yeah.
said it gave them the feeling of interactive.
Oh, interactive. Do-do-do-do-do.
And it
Yeah.
also gave
Well, it's in
them
the same key. It's
it
in the same
also
key.
gave them the feeling of Endorphin Machine as well.
Listen. I was gonna say it. I could have heard this on the Gold Experience, like any of those '90s albums post Emancipation. I could have heard. Well, even Emancipation might have fit disc 2 or something like that.
Yes. I love the
somewhere.
song. A nice little song. It doesn't it well is there a lot of social commentary? It's kind of an outlier in that respect. But then again, you have to have your proverbial, Prince, Mac and the Ladies type of song. You have to have that on a Prince album. So it doesn't
It's
really
yeah.
fit with the overall arc, the thematic arc of the album. But again,
Well,
it's your proverbial
yeah, it doesn't.
Prince player song.
Um,
So in that respect, I can appreciate it, and it is one of the standouts, I would say, of the record, melodically. Um, but yeah, I really enjoy it.
absolutely, and we all love a Prince rocker, and he and only the as only he could do, as only he
Yes,
could do.
yes,
Um, I'm just wondering. She tried to tell me as though I cared. She said you miss her, and now she's scared. You can mislead him, even though she's young. She wants her freedom. She wants to run. I'm wondering if it's about somebody. Hopefully, maybe Dwayne, our dear friend Dwayne Tudall, can enlighten us down the road once he's finished the '80s and hopefully the '90s and beyond.
yeah.
I'd love to know if somebody has more enlightenment. Is this song about something? Because it sounds like it's about somebody to me.
Yes, it does.
He lived his life through his music, so as we've come to know. So
And then we've got a track up next that most hardcore
oh,
fans I would say have been familiar with for years because it was actually released on the Third Eye Girl YouTube channel back when the whole Third Eye Girl mystery started bubbling up
Yep.
online and the whole
Yeah.
who is Third Eye Girl? It's an underground bootlegger, that type of thing.
You used to
Exactly.
watch the web page, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And
Yep. Yep.
and it was actually the track was actually rumored to be considered for inclusion on a deluxe version of the
Right.
2010 album, but
Right.
of
Right. I
course
saw
that
that.
never materialized.
No, it didn't.
But we're talking about same page, different book, which all three backup singers have stated on the official podcast that this is their favorite track
Favorite. Yeah.
on the album. So, Kurt, what do you think of same page, different book?
Um. It. I love it. It's got that nice funky little again. It's got that 70s. The only thing you're missing are the strings. The little strings in the background.
Yep.
Little pizzicato strings or something. I like it. So, again, I could have heard this on the 2010 album, actually.
Yes.
And I on the other end of it, I could have heard "Act of God" from the 2010 album on this album as well.
Yep.
In place of same page, different book.
Yes.
If I were sequencing the album personally, I would have taken same page, different book, stuck it on 2010, and stuck "Act of God" in here instead.
Ooh.
How about that? That's a little.
Very nice.
I'm ready for the smoke on that one. I'm ready for the smoke because to me, 2010 had its moments. "Act of God" was one of the highlights on that album, and for me, this is in that kind of vein.
Yes.
And I would Shelby J's improvised rap that she wrote down at the last minute,
Yes.
and then all right, it's good. She's not a rapper by nature, but let's see what you can do. Again, he pushes people's limits to what they think they can do or can't do. Here you go, Shelby. Write a rap. Go.
Right.
And
Which is one of the 7 billion reasons why I love Prince, is he sees the capacity in others that they don't see in themselves.
but this again, this album's full of the messages and the little hidden things in here and stuff like that. He's got the whole biblical thing at the end, death and resurrection of the second Adam instead. Here. Galatians Chapter 3 says the law was good as dead, having faith in the life, death, and resurrection of the second Adam instead. Would bring us all salvation if there's works in the faith we choose. But if you're all alone throwing stones, who do you think is going to lose? I mean, the lyrics are great. There's some great lyrics on this album. I mean, really fantastic, top-notch lyric writing.
Yep. Yeah, it's a very thought-provoking album overall. And that's what I really love
I love this.
from Prince.
Love this damn album. I will champion this thing. I will probably still be listening to it a year from now. I don't know that I can say the same thing about 2010, to be honest with you, aside from Lay Down and Act of God. Other tracks on there for me were filler. I hate to say it, but they were.
Those are my two favorites. The ones that you just mentioned are my two favorites as well.
And Compassion is good too. Compassion has its moments too. But
I like Beginning Endlessly quite a bit too,
yeah. Okay, so now you're reminding me.
Yes.
I mean, I don't hate the album, but it's not. It's not this.
No.
It's not.
No.
Why this wasn't released, and that was in a newspaper. I actually was in England for my 40th birthday when this was in the when the British newspaper. What the heck was it called? And I have a copy of this album from that newspaper.
Yes, I do. I do as well.
The Guardian. The Guardian. The
I
Guardian.
do as well from. I think it was in a French newspaper as well.
Right.
And I have a copy of the French paper that it was in.
Oh wow.
So
Cool.
yes, and we're rapidly approaching the end of the album. Actually, we're on to
I
track.
know.
We're on to track 10,
Ugh.
which is 1010, Rin 1010,
Love it.
and yeah, unless you grew
Oh,
up
wait a
in the
minute.
unless you
When-
grew up in the 50s or had a parent or grandparent that grew up in the 50s, you might not get these references, the Lone Ranger
Oh, I know.
and Ren 1010. But that's another podcast entirely.
Oh,
Kurt,
no
what do you
kidding.
think of this track?
I love it. Again, actually, this is one of my favorite cuts, and it because it's again, all these earthquake, flood, y'all better hurry, kin, ask the Lone Ranger, Rin Tin Tin. I mean, analog people in a digital world. Too much information, just make your hair curl. Nothing left of value. It's all the same kind. We got to let the funk unwind. I love it, and the references to Bach and Beethoven and Bach. As a classically trained musician myself, I appreciate he throws in that with the little harpsichord riffs after mentioning those two guys. Well, of course, that would be more of Bach's day. I love it. I love it, and there's a little humor. There's humor in that song too.
Right.
Even though he's talking about a serious subject, he doesn't ever lose his sense of humor. Completely.
Right.
Never.
And he's talking about, of course, the Lone Ranger and
Yep.
1010, Rin 1010
Right.
were, heroes from the golden age of television. So he's kind of doubling back on that old school vibe
Oh, absolutely.
and hoping that some of his listeners pick up on it. But for the youngsters, it'll go right over their heads. But of course, I grew up, watching black and white TV and reruns on Nick at Night
Yep.
and all that stuff.
Same here. Yep.
So I know all those shows. But yeah,
I'm sure Lassie feels left out of the song, but hey, we'll
yeah, he could have said something about somebody falling down a well,
well. Right.
a well of deceit or a well of lies,
Oh,
something like
right. Oh God, right.
that. Yeah,
No, it's a
but-
great tune. It's a great tune. I love it.
yeah,
I don't-
musically, it's just dirty and gritty in the
Yeah.
best way. It's so funky.
Oh yeah, no, I love it. Absolutely
It's so
love it. for that.
funky. But yeah, definitely a highlight.
Absolutely.
And again, the backup singers,
Oh,
their backing vocals are superb on this.
fantastic. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, the fact that they all shared a microphone to do it, something you're not exactly doing in the age of COVID right now, but they all were together with one microphone singing those 3-part harmonies, and that gave it an organic sound. That's how they would record in the old days.
Right.
The Beach Boys would be all around the same microphone, around the circular microphone, and record that way as well. And there's something about that when you're singing as a group like that. It gives a certain feeling. So,
And
yeah.
then the penultimate track number 11, a clear homage to Sly and the Family Stone,
Yes.
in my estimation.
Yes.
We're talking about YES. Yes. Love this song.
Yep.
sort of in the same vein as one of those hit and run rock ditties like Mars on the Third Eye Girl album. Plectrum Electrum sort of gave me that same vibe. But
There's a
the
2010 track that uses the same keyboard sound as this one. Beginning endlessly, I think. That little orchestral sounding hit,
yes,
right?
yes, you're correct. I'm just putting it together in my head. Yes,
Yeah, I had to. Yeah,
yes,
when I immediately heard it, I went. I love the backbeat of this thing. Nice
yes,
propulsive movement to it. You know,
yes,
it's a gem.
yes. And it talks about, again, that utopian sort of vision where if you're tired of how things are going on, stand up and say yes. If you're ready for, I don't know exactly how the lyrics go. I haven't been able to look at the booklet in depth myself, but it's such an upbeat, positive message, and it's sort of, getting us out of the whole mindset of the entropy of society and
Yep.
sort of looking forward to a
Mhm.
rebuilt, refashioning of society where there's equity and freedom for all. And he's basically saying that if you're ready for that, stand up and say yes.
Mm-mm-mm. And this could have been
So,
a protest song written right after the unrest in around the country for Black Lives Matter.
yes,
This could have been one of those songs. I mean, it sounds like it could have been written for that. You know,
yes,
I
indeed.
mean, my beloved town of Baltimore, where I'm originally from, I'm now living in outside of Philadelphia in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania. But I was there for the whole Freddie Gray matter, and he wrote Baltimore immediately. Within a month came to, and I was at that show that he played as a tribute as a benefit concert for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Baltimore, and I imagine that he would have done something very much in that vein for Minneapolis at that time. But this sounds like something that could have been written for, what was going on in Minneapolis. You know,
Very much so.
yeah, great track.
Yes. Very, very uplifting. Um,
Almost a foreshadowing to Artificial Cage, because
yes,
if you're ready, we can turn the page. As long as they ain't moving us to a bigger cage.
right, right. Good catch.
Yeah.
Good
Right.
catch there.
It's or it's talking about another prison,
Right,
enslaving us, another form of enslavement. But for
right,
me, that I just like, oh, okay,
right.
Sorry, this didn't come out because it's not artificial age. I will say that this album is its own thing. It's its own vibe.
Which, if you guys don't know, which you probably do because followers of this podcast most likely know that my Twitter handle is artificial age. That's how
Yes.
much I love the album.
Oh, it's a
Um,
masterpiece.
yes, but yeah, that's an interesting connection.
Yep, there's a
And
connection
then,
to it. Yeah, there was a connection to it, and it just dawned on me today.
yep, yep. So great track. And then we've got what I believe to be the perfect bookend track
Oh
to
yeah.
this album.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
One day we will all be free.
Yep.
And that title reminds me so much of Dr. King.
Yep.
I can't even tell you.
Yep.
But again, hearing this song, I was nearly moved to tears because um, you go to school just to learn about what never existed.
Yep.
You go to church just to learn why you have to die or why you deserve to die. those two lines are so deep,
Yep.
it isn't even funny. I
No,
mean,
it's not.
mind blowing stuff.
My favorite lyric, Chris, is you go to school just to learn about what never existed if your history only burns.
Right.
It's better to resist it. Keeping it Franklin, Benjamin Banneker was never born a slave. And if George Washington never told no lie, maybe we'd all be saved. I mean, he just puts a button on it with his falsetto.
Right.
Damn.
Right. And
I mean,
I need a little enlightenment on one of those lyrics because I haven't really done my research, but do you know about Benjamin Banneker?
Benjamin Banneker, okay, was a free African American almanac author, surveyor, landowner, and farmer who had knowledge of mathematics and natural history. He was born in my hometown, Baltimore County, Maryland,
Wow.
to a free African American woman and a former slave. Banneker had little or no formal education and was largely self-taught. He actually was born in Baltimore, died in Oella, which is near Catonsville, Maryland, 21228 for those playing at home. So keeping it in mind. Oh, I have zip codes memorized from working. That's a whole other topic. Working as a tele person.
Yeah.
For the Baltimore Symphony way back. Not long after this album would be released, I was a school teacher at the time that this album would have been recorded, but I remember those Maryland zip codes like the back of my hand. Bless you, by the way. But yeah, Benjamin Banneker, he wasn't born a slave.
Right.
So he's throwing all the the line about where is it? What's the song that talks about high yellow should be ashamed? Right? That's going back to the beginning there.
Oh, is that Son of a Slave Master?
Yes, the running game. Oh,
Yes.
so anybody says Prince was and Prince was a proud black man, and
Yes.
he puts this stuff in there to see if you're paying attention. It was very pointed. There are very pointed comments throughout this album regarding race. He never shied away from that. Never shied away.
No. And that
Black
sort
Muse would have been perfect on this album. You know?
Yes. Yes, and that sort of makes me wonder if that might have factored into the reasoning of this not being released, because it would have caused much debate and much much conversation, because
Well,
this is
he
a deep, heavy album.
right. But he released Rainbow Children, and Family Name, I dare say, has just as much of that in it as any of these
Right.
tracks.
One of the theories that I've read online that somebody posted
Mhm.
seems really feasible to me is that Tall and Chris, the bassist and the drummer, were already contracted to play with other artists, so they weren't able to tour the album. So therefore, Prince decided to shelve it.
Hmm.
And that sounds really feasible and really likely to me. But for
Hey.
whatever reason, the album wasn't released. And
They were both so in demand, though, as session musicians.
yes,
On their own. I mean, she played with Jeff Beck. She's played with,
yes,
he's played with a whole host of other folks as well.
yes,
New Kids on the Block, I believe.
yes.
I'm like, you go from NKOTB to Prince.
Right.
Nothing against them, but he was a in demand session musician, as she is still, both of them. But
I was actually a secret NKOTB stan in their heyday. I was actually a big fan of the New Kids on the Block.
hey,
I didn't let a lot of people know that, but
Please don't go, girl. You know, I mean, come on, Joey. Back when he could still sing that high.
oh yeah,
Now listen, they had their listen. They still are out there. They still go out and tour, and do well. So they're doing all right. What? Chris, we did not talk about When She Comes.
oh, did we skip over When She Comes?
That's okay. We can still, listen. You can edit this. We can still talk about it.
Delayed gratification.
I did not. Oh, listen. How appropriate for such a song.
Tantric stuff, delayed gratification. Yeah.
Good one. Good job. Good
Yeah.
job.
I think I'm just gonna keep all this in because this is good stuff.
Hey,
Yeah, but let's circle
I never
back.
edit my stuff. I never edit my stuff. And
Let's
I
circle
love.
back. Let's
Yeah.
circle back When She Comes. Of course, we had again in retrospect, it's a reprise version of, or a reinterpretation, I would say, of the track on Hit and Run Phase 2. But this is the original version.
I like this better.
Um,
I like this better.
I do too.
I actually like this better.
I do
It's
too.
it's more. It's like the print. It really. If we're gonna say okay, for those who want Prince to be like he was back in the day, here you go.
Yep. Yep.
Now shut up and let me do my politically charged songs. Oh, you
Right.
want a song like I used to do back in here? This is very much in line, Chris. This song, and as it was on the Hit and Run Phase 2, if you think of the albums that came before this, it's very much in line with On the Couch and
Satisfied?
Satisfied. Thank you. On 3121.
Yes.
The baby making songs. These are the ones. You put those three songs together, they're in the same vein. It's okay. Hey, he could record a dozen of those. You know.
Or as my brother would call it, belly rubbing music. You get close dancing and you get close enough to rub bellies.
There
So
you
it's
go.
belly rubbing music.
That's all right.
There you go.
I love it.
So yeah, definitely one of the highlights of the album, I would say. And again, Prince's falsetto is on point. Like you say, he never ever lost it. Contrary to what some
Unbelievable.
quote unquote fans will tell you. But yeah, just a great track. And yeah, to paraphrase an old cliche, you can take how would it work? You could take the dirty out of, or you can take the Prince out of the dirty, but you can't take the dirty out of Prince.
Nope.
Something like that.
You can funk with Prince, but you can't take Prince out the funk or whatever.
Yeah,
listen,
there you go.
I got what you're saying.
Exactly.
He still had all that, and he didn't curse or any of that.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't have to go there.
No.
When she comes has just as much of that sexually charged energy as any of that older stuff.
Oh yeah, and this is the obligatory slow jam.
You gotta have it.
You've got to have a slow jam on a Prince record. And again, just like with Check the Record, does it fit thematically?
Yep.
Not really, but who cares? It's a good song,
Oh, it's great. Yep.
So yeah, do we want to say anything else about When She Comes? I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
I love. It's a different. It's a. Is it quicker paced tempo wise?
Yes.
I thought Hit and Run Phase 2 when she.
Right.
It's a little slower. This one's got a little more pep.
Yes.
It's still coy. He's still got he's up to his old tricks. It's okay. and we love them all, and all the better for
It's got a little more pep, but yet it's not premature.
it. Keep it going. Love it.
Thank
Yep.
you very much. I'll be here all night. Try the veal.
You got it.
Yeah,
Try the or where you're from, try the walleye.
exactly. Try the walleye pike. Yes.
At Maynard's.
Yes. Yes.
I've actually had it at Maynard's. So.
Yeah. So
All right. Yeah.
great, great album.
Yes.
I've gained a new appreciation for it,
Yes.
even talking to you tonight.
Good.
And
That's what it's about.
yeah, I already really, really loved it. But talking about it tonight with you,
Yes.
it's like, yeah, this album is fire pretty much. So yeah.
It's a slow burn.
Yeah.
You know, it smolders. It's I hate to use that cliche. It's a sleeper album. It's one of those that people may pass over. Oh, okay, this is all slow, but it's an album worth listening to. Again, all the things that we've talked about the album, it's worth buying because we need to value music, and you can't put a price on good music, but unfortunately in this case we do. The deluxe version, I have the deluxe version, as I'm sure we're going to delve into a little bit here.
Yes.
Worth getting. I wouldn't have minded this booklet, which has gotten a little heated from being on my laptop. I wouldn't have minded this being a little sturdier.
Yes. I agree.
But like the Sign of the Times book.
Right.
But what I do like about this in terms of this versus the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe set is that it's not attached. The CDs aren't attached to the book.
Right.
That drove me nuts.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
But
This package is way better, and
yeah,
overall, it's another exquisite presentation by the estate. I
Yes, it
mean,
is.
just, it's just absolutely gorgeous.
yes, it is.
And there we have our
Yes,
our modeling of the set.
Hi. But the quote here is worth
Yes.
mentioning, where he talks about Black Wall Street, it just equal opportunity and freedom. I mean, the quote that's on here: self-interest is on the back burner for now. There is too much at stake. The most important thing right now is to take advantage of the changing landscape of America. This is him in July 2010.
Right.
I mean, the long-standing monopoly of white ownership of black music should be abolished. Escape? Where does he talk about the most important, long-standing monopoly? Blah, 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 we don't to be. In a world fast headed towards globalization, we need to be free. We need to free the art from the gatekeepers that all black culture is monochromatic. I mean, the homogenization of erasing of identity.
Those quotes right there make me really upset that he wasn't able to finish his memoir,
Yeah, I know.
because his
I know.
memoir,
Yep.
if that's anything
Agreed.
to go by, his memoir would have been extraordinary.
Yeah.
I mean, just, and he planned to make it about, the African American struggle and all that. So
Yep.
he would
Yeah.
have gone very deep into all of that. So
It would have been very unique to hear his viewpoints
Yes.
from his own I would have paid money to have a super deluxe version of that where we saw the writing in his own pen, in his own hand,
yep.
those first 50 pages.
Yep.
I would have given a lot to see that. Yeah. Because he had exquisite handwriting.
Yes, he did.
You see the lyrics to his songs, you're like, damn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great
Yep.
stuff. And the package is very, very well put together. Just
Yes, it
absolutely
is.
beautiful.
I like having the vinyl and the CD. Well, it's not 8 CDs or 12 records. And
Right.
imagine if you had 8 CDs worth of Welcome to America tracks and stuff. So they were able to get away with housing both the vinyl, which I don't own a record player yet. I don't have I have 2 cats. I'm very paranoid about having a record player with two boy kitties running around the house.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's lovely. It's lovely.
Right. And I was going
And
to ask you, what do you think of all the little bonus goodies, the replica
oh,
ticket
with
and the replica pass?
yeah, that's really fun. I like that. I like that. I'm almost don't want to touch it, too much, so that they last
Right.
longer or whatever. But
Right.
no, it's cool. It's cool to a concert that I never went to. Yeah, we love all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's very cool as well. People were,
Like a printed set list. That would have
yes,
been like, when he would have recorded the album. Yeah, love it.
yes, yes. And everybody, well, not everybody, but the majority of fans I see online are sort of bemoaning the fact that we get these little extras as a bonus, and they say they're kind of, superfluous. And but I think they're a really nice
Always going to be
memento of
somebody
a
complaining.
of a great live era in Prince's history,
Yep.
and they're really cool to have with the package. So I'm grateful to have the
This is
little
worth it,
extras.
though. And this is worth getting.
Yes, the
This is for sure.
jam. We need to get to
Yes.
that. Yes,
Yes, sir.
August or April 28th,
Yep.
2011,
hmm
the LA Forum. Um, one of the one of the only pro shot um concerts of the tour. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's accurate.
And you know what, though? I mean, maybe pro shot, but he did videotape everything,
Right,
right? As we know, whether it was deliberately pro shot like this, yeah, you're probably right.
right. But and very, very important, for the
hmm
first time in a Prince release appearing on Blu-ray, um just exquisite video and audio quality.
Yes.
Um
Dolby Atmos, too.
yes, Dolby Atmos as well. Just amazing presentation. And the show is a party and a half. It's completely captivating. And from all the bitching and moaning, I hate to curse, but
Oh,
from
I
all,
love it.
from all the bitching and moaning online about how this was mostly a background singer show, and
Oh,
there
and
were
there's too many covers and blah,
too
blah.
many covers and
Out
all
of
that.
21. Now, look, uh, shout out to D'Angela Duff, because she had our good buddy there, Dwayne Tudall, on, and they brought up while plugging his book, The Sign of the Times, and the Parade and Sign of the Times era book that he put out, which is wonderful. Halfway through it, they asked him, what he thought of the 2000, Welcome to America album, and he is an editor for this Blu-ray.
Yes.
You look at the credits. He actually edited the Blu-ray. He actually edited this concert and got close-up shots of Prince smiling. Or so, our good buddy Dwayne Tudall, the man, the cataloger of Prince, and our wonderful art record keeper figure out there, had a hand in this,
Right.
and which is really great. I was like, oh. Is that right? Oh, I didn't know. And he had a hand in the Sign of the Times one too, the New Year's Eve concert, which I like. Oh, that's right, he did.
Right.
So I'm glad that, because he likes to keep the Prince estate and what he does with the books separately, but it's nice to see that he had a hand in not just liner notes, but actually in the visual content, because he was a documentarian. He worked in the TV mediums and visual mediums for many years.
Yes.
So
Yes.
nice to see his hands were well put together, and you got some great close-up shots of Prince on this,
Oh, yes.
smiling and playing the keyboards and the band. But again, this show, Chris, is over 21, one of 21 nights. So one night you're going to get him playing a lot of covers and, play that funky music, White Boy in there. And, and then the next night you're going to get, who knows? That's the whole thing about a Prince show, is that it's never going to be the same.
Yeah. My point was, though, from all the moaning online, I was expecting to be underwhelmed by the show, and when I watched the show, it was the exact opposite. I was overwhelmed at how good it was.
It was great.
I mean, just a straight up Purple party from beginning to end.
Yes.
Yes. Is it heavy on the hits? Yes. Are there some deep cuts? Yes. I mean,
he opens
17
with
days.
Wait a minute. Yes, 17 days. Oh, the B-side of all B-sides. I mean, that's a B-side? Come on. I mean, and that's a classic B-side.
Yes,
Purple Rain.
but he opens with joy and repetition, for God's sake.
Oh my God. Stop bitching about the fact that he opens with a deep cut. And wait a minute. Shh is in there.
Yes.
I mean, shh isn't exactly, the Gold Experience. So he covers a lot of different ground.
Yes.
Party Man. I mean, that was on the Batman soundtrack, which I've seen him do live in a club in D.C.
Which I always say, if I was a more confident person, if I was the person that I really wanted to be on the outside, like I am on the inside, Party Man is my theme song.
There you go.
So yeah, just the other day on Twitter, yesterday I said, would somebody please walk behind me with a boombox blasting this song?
Yes.
And
next year when I come out there and Michael Holt is going to DJ for my 52nd birthday, we'll make that happen.
Sweet.
We'll make that happen.
Sounds like a plan.
I don't know if I'll dress up as the Joker for it, but go with a smile.
There you go. If you gotta go with a smile.
If you gotta go with a smile. See my buddy Chris? He's been using brand X. Anyway, sorry. But we digress. But no, he's got a little bit of everything. A little bit of something for everybody. Oh, you want a deep cut? I got that. Cover tune? You never would expect me to. Roxy Music. He's a huge Brian Ferry Roxy Music fan. And he closes the show with that. More than this. And he starts the show with joy and repetition. He said, there's more than this. He hints at that he's going to do the song.
Right.
Right? That's brought up. believe Dwayne brought that up recently.
Right.
And shout out. It's brilliant, because I didn't pick up on that the first time. I got to go back and watch it now.
Right.
This is one you got to go back and watch. The Purple Rain Tour DVD that we all were able to get with the deluxe, we need a super deluxe version in 2024, right? I mean, let's just be honest. We need a remastered version of that. So I'm just saying.
Yes.
But anyhow, I digress on that. We need the First Avenue show on that deluxe. So
yes.
Just saying. Anyhow.
That's actually my favorite live gig that he's ever done.
Come on. Because it's right, he's right on the cusp of superstardom, and he knows it.
It's so iconic. Iconic and unbelievable.
He does a Joni Mitchell song amidst all this other stuff that he does. Case of You is in there.
Yes.
Which could seem to be out of place with all the rest of the stuff that he does, but he doesn't because he makes it work for
Right.
his show.
Right.
And he covers a bunch of songs on here. Who cares? Who cares that he covers songs?
Yeah.
But A Love Bizarre.
Yes.
I mean, come on. He wrote all these songs. The Bird, Jungle Love. Well, that's the time. He wrote the damn things. It's all Prince music at the end of the day.
Yeah.
As far as that's concerned. Would
Yep.
have been nice to Sheila to come out, and maybe she was busy, but Sheila to come out on that one song. But,
Yeah. So, bottom line,
yes.
great album,
Yes.
revelatory album,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Iconic album.
Hidden gem.
And yeah, hidden gem for sure.
Yeah.
If we could classify albums as deep cuts within an artist's discography, I would say Welcome to America would be a deep cut in the discography.
I
and
put
I
it up
think-
there. Yeah. I put it up there with Lotus Flower, and
Yep.
Lotus Flower is one of my favorite deep cut albums by Prince ever. I like MPLS music; it's a different vibe. He's doing more Pro Tools and stuff on that.
Yes.
But for me, Lotus Flower, this album and Lotus Flower will be nice companion pieces because you've
Yes.
got songs like Colonized Mind. Colonized Mind would have fit perfectly on Welcome to America.
Yes. Yes.
And he's not totally political all the way through on that album, but he there's spiritual moments on it, and anyway, yeah, I love it.
Bottom line, great album,
Yes.
exquisitely presented box set,
Oh yeah.
wonderful concert Blu-ray,
Yep.
and some fun little extras thrown in.
Yeah.
And I would say if you can afford it, if it's within your means, go ahead and get it.
Yep.
But definitely get the album in whichever format you can afford,
Yep.
whichever format you prefer. Get this album, purchase it, stream it. I mean, go crazy because
Yeah.
this album is worth it. Bottom line,
Look,
this album
yep.
is worth it.
Definitely.
So
I wish more albums of Prince's in the 2000s had gotten this kind of publicity and this kind of marketing.
yes,
The way it's getting marketed now.
yes, I agree.
Whether he would have allowed it or not, but I wish we had this kind of publicity for those albums.
I agree. Shout out to Legacy Music, who's
Yep.
been
They
working
did a great
with the
job.
estate.
Yep.
Been doing a great job with these packages.
Yep.
Just wonderful work, and I look forward to future releases. But Kurt, any closing comments?
I'm excited to see what they're going to do next in terms of output, because I guess they have this for the next couple of years, the catalog. Hopefully we'll get more, whether we'll get a whole album's worth of material, we just found another album. I mean, and he has albums that he finished and shelved. So
Right.
maybe this is the beginning of that. I have a feeling we'll probably just get another reissue at some point. But
The rumor in the wind right now is Diamonds and Pearls Super Deluxe.
which makes sense because it's 2021. It came out in 1991, 30th anniversary. Sure, why not? And have a whole Diamonds and Pearls concert because I know there's a Pro Shot one, which is really great. That early incarnation of the NPG like that. I mean, that was a crack band and the dancing and Tony M. I'm a
yeah.
fan of Tony M. Huge
Yep.
fan. Wouldn't mind that at all. This album is its own era, which I love, and it's a great time capsule. If you could put in a thing, it's great that we get the Welcome to America tour, but it's great that we get the album to go with it. And hopefully going forward, Chris, I hope that they put in some kind of concert film. So if they do the Diamonds and Pearls, great. Give us the all the different B-sides, the tracks, the remixes.
Also, give us an Act 1 tour show.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It was the Act 1 tour, right?
Yeah, baby.
Act
Well,
1
there's
and
the
Act
Diamonds
2.
and Pearls in London. There's the Diamonds and Pearls. I wouldn't mind that at all. There's that Diamonds and Pearls in London show.
Earl's Court.
Earl's Court, thank you.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Give us that and an Act 1 show.
I personally love that whole era because one of my favorite TV appearances that Prince ever did was that Arsenio Hall show promoting
Saw it as it aired.
Diamonds and Pearls.
Saw it as it aired.
Yeah, it was so,
Yep.
again, so iconic with the yellow suit.
Yep.
And, when he played Cream, he was chewing gum, singing Cream, and playing the guitar. And just, so
God,
iconic.
funny,
So
funny.
that
Sense of humor.
that era holds a special place in my heart as well. So
Sure.
looking forward to that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but overall great work by the estate. I
Yes.
wanted to call back to your earlier comment about Purple Rain Super Deluxe 2024 estate. I'm telling you right now, you better make it happen or I'm going to be one upset dude.
Yes.
So,
Give us those that want. We want what Warner's did with the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe set. We'd love to see that with the Purple Rain.
yes.
Honestly.
Yes.
I mean, when you read Dwayne's book, right, the Purple Rain era book, you read the Sign of the Times, and we're getting a lot of what we wanted in that Super Deluxe set because we read through. Oh yeah, well that track's on there, that track's on there, that track's on there, and there's so much that isn't on there. But else we'd have a $300 or more set. But with the Purple Rain stuff, there's all these songs that oh gosh, put this on, put that on.
Yeah.
Hell, put the Family album in there. I don't care. Give us all. Well, maybe that's more maybe a Parade Deluxe set, Super Deluxe set,
Right.
but I digress.
Right. But
We don't want less.
great work by the estate, and
Yes.
I'm with you. I really look forward to what is to come.
We need to keep the lights on at Paisley Park. We need to keep we need to keep the estate going. We need to keep his legacy going. And
Amen. There you go. There you go.
They're
And on
really trying their best.
Yeah. And on that note, I think we'll bid you adieu for now.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for having me on, Chris. It's been a pleasure. We finally did it.
Yes, we did it. And on behalf of
Close the book.
myself and also Kurt, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching on YouTube and listening on Blog Talk Radio and Apple Podcasts. And until next time, I'm Chris Johnson, and I'm out. But just 1 second, I want to say shout out to PA. We love Pennsylvania because our own Dreamy Pop royalty is from East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. So I just wanted to give a quick shout out to PA.
Shout out to the Poconos.
Yes, there we go. And we'll see you next time, everybody. Thanks so much.